The village never forgot who she was. The whispers trailed her every step, growing louder as she grew older. Children turned to laughter when she passed, but there was no joy in it, only scorn. They didn't need to know her story to feel the unease that surrounded her. Mira's name became a mark, not of identity, but of rejection, a reminder of what she wasn't. She didn't belong to them, to their world, or any world that made sense. Alric's gang was relentless. Every day seemed to bring a new taunt, a new bruise, a new reminder that her powerless existence made her less in their eyes. One afternoon, they cornered her by the old well at the edge of the village. Alric's sneer stretched wide as he picked up a stone and tossed it lazily between his hands. "Where's your magic, Mira?" he mocked, stepping closer. "Where's all that power everyone's afraid of? Oh right, you don't have any." The group laughed, their voices a chorus of cruelty that struck harder than any blow. Alric raised the stone higher, his eyes daring her to fight back. But she couldn't, not without power, not without the strength everyone else seemed to carry so easily. "Leave her alone!" The voice came like a growl, cutting through their mockery with the force of thunder. Kale stood at the edge of the clearing, his stance rigid, his gaze fixed on Alric. The other boys faltered, stepping back, but Alric didn't move. "Why do you always protect her?" Alric sneered, though his voice wavered. "She's nothing." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Because she's worth more than all of you put together." Alric's face flushed with anger, but he turned away, tossing the stone to the ground. He motioned for the others to follow, and they slunk off into the trees. Kale walked to Mira and offered his hand. She hesitated, then took it, letting him pull her to her feet. "You don't have to let them win," he said softly, his tone steady but kind. "You're stronger than you think." Mira wanted to believe him. She wanted to cling to the idea that her worth wasn't measured by the power she didn't have. But the doubts followed her home that night, heavier than ever. Sleep came slowly, but when it did, the dreams returned. They always did. The darkness stretched around her, endless and unyielding, and from within it, the voice called her name. "Mira," it whispered, soft yet commanding. "Do you feel it? The strength that lies beneath the silence?" She looked down at her arms and saw them glowing, silver patterns swirling across her skin, alive and intricate. They pulsed with a rhythm that matched her heartbeat, growing brighter with each second. The light wasn't comforting, it was overwhelming, a force that threatened to consume her. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling as she turned toward the void. The figure emerged from the shadows, indistinct, yet imposing, its presence filling the air with tension. "You know who I am," it said, its voice resonating like an echo through the dream. "And you know what you are. The question is, are you ready to face it?" She woke with a start, her breath quick and shallow, her body trembling. For a moment, she thought she still felt the patterns on her arms, the warmth of the light beneath her skin. But when she looked, there was nothing, just her ordinary hands, as powerless as ever. Yet the voice lingered in her mind, its words weaving through her thoughts, like threads she couldn't untangle. She had a choice to make: unlock the power that stirred within her, the force sealed away by the Magus, and risk the destruction it might bring, or suppress it, bury it deep, and sacrifice herself in the process. The weight of it bore down on her, more crushing than Alric's jeers, more relentless than the voice in her dreams. Mira sat in the stillness of the night, staring out at the stars beyond her window. They seemed so far away, unreachable, much like the life she wanted to live. The world had rejected her, yet now it seemed to demand her salvation. She wanted to scream at it, to curse the fate that had placed this burden on her. But instead, she asked herself the question she feared most. What if they're right? What if I'm nothing but the curse they've always believed me to be? She didn't have the answer. Not yet. What would you do? Unlock the power and risk everything? Or bury it and lose yourself in the process? The forest stretched endlessly before them, its shadows alive with the whispers of unseen dangers. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of decay and the weight of secrets buried long before their time. Mira walked at the center of the trio, her breaths shallow and her steps faltering as the tension pressed in on all sides. Every creak of a branch, every rustle of leaves seemed to carry a warning, a reminder that they were trespassers in a land that did not forgive. Kale moved ahead, his sharp senses attuned to the dangers that lurked just beyond their sight. His every step was deliberate, his ears twitching at the faintest sound. Behind them, Lucian walked with a quiet confidence, his movements almost too smooth, too calculated. His presence was a constant reminder that trust was a fragile thing, and alliances could shift as quickly as the wind. Mira's arms tingled with the faint memory of the silver patterns that haunted her dreams. The power within her stirred like a restless beast, clawing at the edges of her control. She clenched her fists, trying to suppress the growing heat that radiated beneath her skin. She couldn't afford to lose control. Not now. Not here. Not when so much depended on her ability to hold herself together. The first attack came without warning. A blur of motion erupted from the shadows, a snarl tearing through the silence as a rogue vampire lunged at Kale. He moved with the speed of a predator, meeting the attack with a ferocity that shook the ground beneath them. Claws met fangs in a deadly dance, their movements a blur of violence and precision. Lucian didn't hesitate. With a flick of his wrist, a silver blade appeared, gleaming in the dim light as he joined the fray. Mira stood frozen for a moment, the chaos unfolding around her like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Then another figure emerged from the darkness. A feral werewolf, its eyes glowing with hunger. It charged toward her, its growl vibrating through the air. She raised her hands instinctively, the heat within her surging to the surface. For a moment, the world seemed to slow as silver light flickered along her arms. The wolf hesitated, its steps faltering as it stared at her with something that almost resembled fear. The hesitation was all Kale needed. He leaped between them, his claws sinking into the wolf's side with brutal precision. The creature howled, its body convulsing before it crumpled to the ground. Kale turned to Mira, his eyes blazing. "Stay close," he growled. "They'll keep coming." Lucian's voice cut through the tension, smooth and unbothered. "She won't survive the veil if she freezes every time something snarls at her." "Enough," Kale snapped, his tone sharp. "We don't have time for this." They moved on, the forest seeming darker with every step. The air grew colder, the ground uneven beneath their feet. Mira's legs ached, but she pressed forward, her determination fueled by the knowledge that turning back was not an option. The veil awaited them, a place shrouded in legend and fear, where answers could only be bought with sacrifice. Tension simmered between Kale and Lucian, their exchanges sharp and biting. Each step deeper into the unknown seemed to pull at the threads of their fragile alliance. Mira could feel it. The distrust, the unspoken resentments. Kale's loyalty was unwavering, his protective nature as steady as the earth beneath them. But Lucian was an enigma, his motives cloaked in shadows she couldn't penetrate. As they approached a clearing, Mira's strength wavered, her vision blurred, and the heat beneath her skin flared uncontrollably. She stumbled, her knees buckling as the silver patterns began to surface once more. Kale was at her side in an instant, his hands steadying her as she gasped for air. "What's happening to me?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Lucian's gaze lingered on her, his expression unreadable. "The seal is breaking," he said finally. The Magus knew it wouldn't hold forever. Kale shot him a glare. Now's not the time. Mira closed her eyes, the patterns glowing brighter beneath her lids. The voice from her dreams echoed in her mind, stronger now, more insistent. You cannot run from this, Mira, it said. You are what they fear, and what they need. She opened her eyes, her breath steadying as the light began to fade. She pushed herself to her feet, meeting Kale's concerned gaze. I'm fine, she said, though her voice betrayed her uncertainty. We have to keep moving. They pressed on, the path ahead growing more treacherous with every step. The dangers they faced were not only in the forest, but within themselves. The weight of their mission, the distrust that lingered between them, and the power awakening within Mira. All of it threatened to unravel them before they reached their destination. But the veil was close now. Its presence loomed at the edges of their perception, a force that pulled at them like a tide. The closer they came, the more certain Mira became of one thing. Not all of them would survive this journey.
Subscribe to Rare Tales Unfold and turn on the notification bell to join a world of mysteries, legends, and unforgettable adventures. Every tale holds a twist, every journey a revelation. Hit the like button to show your support and share this story with someone who loves to lose themselves in the magic of a well-told tale.
Do you think Kale or Lucian will betray her? Or will they sacrifice themselves for her mission? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.